Hello friends, this is Aubrey from Crybaby Summer Homestead. I thought I'd do a little quick walk around the back to show you a little bit of what I've got growing on over here. Look on up. This is another grape arbor. Got some of that growing on in the front as well as in the back, and lots of fruit already forming. I know this looks a little bit nasty here, but I wanted to show you just how easy it is to grow figs from cuttings. So each one of these will be its own individual tree. This is a brown turkey fig tree, and I just took cuttings and I put them in this pitcher. I'm going to actually go ahead and really quickly fill this up from my little simple working barrel. This is just gravity pulling the water down. In this bucket below, I have more fig trees growing. Look at those roots. This could not be simpler. Figs love to be propagated. You just take a branch that you trimmed off, and I went with all the crisscrossing branches, and I have a certain shape I had in mind for my fig tree, and all the extra pieces that I trimmed off. Look at this. It's crazy. This is crazy how easy this is. So many trees. Almost every one of them is growing roots. Now this one is gonna grow roots, you can tell, but it hasn't yet. But all of these other ones, that's nuts. Okay, couldn't be easier. I'm gonna put a little bit more water into that container. There we go. It's beautiful. Wow. Probably one of the easiest plants to propagate. That is for sure. Maybe a little bit more water. There we go. It's so satisfying to me. Every single time I find new roots on a plant that I'm propagating, it's just so exciting, honestly. Not that I'm surprised, but it's always a nice surprise. Seems to me like it's almost science fiction, like it shouldn't work, but it does. There we go. There we go. I recently cut back the sage to propagate it, and now it is so much fuller than it ever was. I have these seed heads going on and so much more growth, and it's gorgeous. I've been feeding some to the chickens. I'll take a long cutting and then take some of the lower leaves and feed it to the hens, and then propagate what's left. Don't mind my hands. So filthy. I'm out in the garden digging around and doing all kinds of stuff. But I am just super pleased with this vigorous growth on the sage. This plant has been growing here for over a decade, and I propagate it all the time, and I'm so excited about the flowers and the seed heads. That is so gorgeous. Here is a mulberry tree. What's really cool about mulberries is that the fruit is obviously edible, delicious too, but so are the leaves. So especially like the young leaves. So if you're not growing mulberry in zone 8 or warmer, probably even a little bit colder, you should be. They are wonderful, delicious, and versatile. Here is one of my elderberry plants going to flower. And this plant last year, I wasn't able to get a crop out of it because the birds found the flowers too soon. When they started to provide the berries, the birds ate them all up. And I like to make a home remedy out of the berries. There's a whole process on that. Be careful with elderberries because you do have to process them in a certain way. You basically heat the berries in water for like 45 minutes, boiling or simmering, really hot water, and then you strain out all the seeds and the pulp, and what you have left you have as elderberry syrup. I like to add like honey and basil, ginger, and cinnamon to mine. It tastes absolutely divine. Look at this beautiful plant. Wow, it grows so vigorously. I wonder if you can guess what it is. You can almost jump up with this thing. Oh my gosh, I have to do some weeding over here. Comment below if you know what the name of this beautiful plant is. This beautiful weed. I have oregano and dandelions growing around a lot of my potted plants, and I actually prefer it that way. These are edible, and my chickens also enjoy them. And I have these red currants. They tend to get really infested with fruit fly larvae. If they get infested, I feed them to my hens and they get a little extra protein. If they don't get infested, they are sure delicious, and they remind me of when I used to live in Germany. That's the first time I ever had any kind of currants. I've never seen them for sale in the United States as a crop. I did buy this original plant from Burnt Ridge Nursery, and it's gone kind of crazy. Of course, we have strawberries growing just about everywhere, even in the walkways. It's gone totally jungle. Amongst all the weeds in this bed, I actually propagated a bunch of, you can see they've been nibbled on a bit, but this is actually red currant. When I was pruning it, I just stuck branches in here a couple years ago, and now I've got a bunch of free plants all around in here, and a bunch of stuff I need to weed out. Lots of oregano, which is not a weed, but it grows like one for sure, and more of this lovely, very lovely plant. Not the dandelion here. What is this? What do you think this is? Not intentional. Let's have a talk right now about this tree. This was a black walnut, and it was doing absolutely beautifully until a German Shepherd, Australian Shepherd mix decided this would make a great chew toy. It also dug that giant hole. Let me step in it for perspective. That is all the way up my leg. So if you want to bury the dog, I guess that's about as deep as it needs to be. Here's another hole the dog dug. Lovely. This whole space here used to have grass and life, and it's all been dug by a German Shepherd. If you are thinking about having a garden and having dogs, choose one or the other, because this is not working out. Nope, not at all. Oh Lord. This here was a plum tree. That was part of my polytunnel. Here, those are American hazelnuts. It was bushy and beautiful, and now it's not. More remnants of my polytunnel. This one's actually coming back okay, but you can see the dog. The dogs have been chewing here, and here, and here. Just a couple days ago, this growth wasn't here, and I was pretty devastated. I hope it'll come back, kind of like when my husband accidentally mowed over a couple of them with a lawnmower or a weed whacker. Kind of devastating to see this, and that. But to be kind to an animal, I can't keep it caged up. You have to let it outside to run around, and this is what it does. So, crap hits the fan. You do not want a German Shepherd. Yeah, this is sad. Chewed up pots, more plastic. Chewed up pot that I had a plant in, and part of the tree that was in the pot destroyed. Devastating. That hazelnut tree was big enough, so it's going to do okay. This one did not become a chew toy. This is my polytunnel. And all that inside has been wrecked by the German Shepherd and her accomplice, the black lab. But yeah, this is what has happened to my polytunnel. All of this is from the German Shepherd. So I'm being honest, this is why I don't show the backyard, is because of all that. So this is a beautiful hazelnut. Next to it here, I have another mulberry. Amongst the weeds, I have thyme. There's never enough time. Boom, boom, psh. The helicopters kept me up all night last night. Must have woke me up at like 12 a.m., 3 a.m. Oh, I hope they will stop doing their drills and let me rest. I need to clean up again. I actually like a week ago cleaned out like that whole half of that invasive plant right there, and it's already growing back because you just miss a little piece of it and it grows back crazy. But I do have underneath in there, I'm not quite sure if you can see it, but I have some potatoes that actually overwintered and they're growing on really good. These plants over there are thimbleberries, and you can see that they're flowering. They make delicious fruit, not a huge crop, but they're definitely worth growing. And the plants are taller than I am. You can't tell how tall they are. It's crazy. They really like the understory. They're doing great. That there is a Milky Way Dogwood. Very similar to the Cactus Dogwood. I love it. It's beautiful. It does not like direct sun. It gets burned every year. Whenever I try to put it out in a more sunny position, it hates it. So I'm keeping it underneath the trees. And it's very happy there. Got lots and lots and lots of oregano everywhere. And over here, got some more sunchokes. And back there, there's a trap. I'll show you how to make those. I actually will link a video of how to make them. I need to refill it. But I have those traps to get rid of the fruit flies. And they really do work. They get full of all kinds of disgusting things. Right here inside my glass greenhouse, I have Nopalitos cactus. And you can see that they are going to flower. I will definitely have to... My greenhouse is truly a piece of junk. We actually got it. It was upcycled. We got it from somebody, some nice, wealthy person who just bought a house and they saw this junk on their property and they're like, let's get rid of it. But let's also make $300 off some other poor people. So we bought it for like, I think we talked them down maybe to $200 or $250. My husband brought it here and we tried fixing it. So you can see we kind of patched it with plastic. We didn't realize that the panes of the glass were going to be so expensive. Each pane, especially the ones that are curved, are very pricey. Like just to replace the panes of the greenhouse would cost more than we paid for it. The other thing he did for me was he put it up on wood, so it's actually taller than it was originally, which means there is a gap of space underneath. To keep the dogs out, I just temporarily put a few little garden gates to block it. We'll figure out what to do with it later. But I have all kinds of succulents and cacti and banana yucca. And I have a few pomegranate trees growing in there as well. I've got a lot of work to do in there. It's such an eyesore. I do have plans to repair these pieces. I'm going to take that part down and I'm going to reuse like plastic greenhouse material. And I'm going to use that kind of metal tape that they have there. And I'm going to tape it in. It's still going to look like trash, to be honest. But I'm all about recycling and repurposing. To me, it's more about the function over how it looks. I know a lot of people don't feel that way. They want everything to be really pretty. But when you see everything growing inside of there, that is pretty to me. And spending $8,000 on a glass greenhouse just is not something that's affordable right now. So it's a work in progress. But look here, my grapes growing over the side of it. Isn't that charming? And that gives me loads of grapes in the summertime. Very late summer. Say hello to my little friend. And look at my cute little frogs lighting up. These have been out here for quite a while. I thought this was a cute idea. I haven't seen anybody else doing it this way, but this is actually for the kitchen. And I bought it at a secondhand store. I actually do hang from here a little hummingbird feeder sometimes. I'm not doing that right now because I'm really focusing on the front of the house, keeping the birds out there. I don't want them getting hurt by the dogs, and also I don't like walking out here. It's a mess. But I have a bunch of succulents growing up here. These succulents went to seed. I'm really happy that the potatoes have overwintered. They do. I have them in several places. I've got some pots in the front. I've got some growing in the dilapidated polytunnel growing back, and I love that because it's a much more reliable staple crop if you can get it to grow year round and keep it in the ground over the winter time, so that you don't have to store it. It's actually stored very well under the soil all year long. So if you miss a tuber when you're harvesting, then your potatoes will grow back the next year. I actually have an order of like 300 sweet potato slips, totally different animal. And I will be doing something on those later on. But lots of stuff going on here. It is a hot mess. I have been avoiding this area because of what the dogs have done to the yard. Seeing the back area is not for the faint of heart. It's kind of a jungle, wild mess. Lots of things I don't really want to acknowledge and deal with, because every time I see it, I get upset about it. But there's hope. We keep trying different strategies, and eventually something's going to stick. I know with one of the dogs, she was much worse. Ooh, the birds are up here. She was much worse when she was younger, and so I'm hoping that the shepherd will also get better with age and won't be so mischievous. But we will be fencing off my gardens from the dogs, so they cannot get over here. They will be very limited in the space. Unfortunately, if you're naughty, you don't get to have free reign. So they've been naughty, and we've tried training them. They do not listen. Yeah, they think they're the boss. So they're going to have part of the yard for them, not all of the yard. And then when I come back here, I can actually see progress happening that doesn't always get unraveled every time I walk away. And I don't have to also step in dog poo. This is a real garden. This is a real garden. In its glory, it can look kind of like the Garden of Eden, overgrown with hops and grapes and kiwi vines and all kinds of wonderful splendors. I've got a lot of interesting things. Baby Shapova, Che, lots of cool stuff that you probably don't see on your everyday garden. So if you want to see more like that, follow, like, subscribe, comment below. Empathy only. Empathy and camaraderie only. Do not judge this. I never claimed to be Martha Stewart. I don't have a staff to come out here and help me. Oh, Lord. It's embarrassing. But it is what it is. And it is a work in progress all the time. Especially if you are a working mom. Life is busy. And then gardening is my therapy. It's my respite and my relief from all the chaos in the world. So I've been doing more of that in the front, since when I come in the back, I usually find something I just discovered has been destroyed, and it's a little upsetting. So there are some things out here that are my fault, because I didn't deal with them. But I'm very happy. I'm seeing the grapevines coming up to life. In the front yard, I have lots of grapes already developing. I have lots of apples developing out here, a lot of currants, and all kinds of different berries. So I even have some yellow raspberries growing in the polytunnel that's basically destroyed. I'm thinking I might slice off the plastic and remove the parts that have been chewed, and then replace it with maybe like a shade cloth, staple it in, and then partition the dogs off so they can't come back and destroy it again. But I do want to keep it because it really does provide me a space when it's raining and cold to go and continue working. And it's warm. I had all kinds of grow lights in there. I noticed that the grow lights have been dug out, pulled away, so they probably thought they were chew toys and have destroyed those as well. Luckily, they're from the Dollar Tree, so I can buy some more. But I'm going to do that after I figure out what to do with those mangy rascals. My daughter's lucky. I love her so much. So, but all of that there, did you guys guess what it was? Did you comment below? What is that weed that's going crazy? This is a volunteer that has always been on this property, even since before I moved in. And it's been a nuisance, a beautiful nuisance ever since. All right, everybody, I will definitely put up something soon that looks a little bit more tame. Although that's not really my forte or my goal or objective, But remember, be good, be sweet, and grow a garden if you want to eat. I'll see you next time.